Welcome back. In the last Brooder box build video, I got everything milled up and then was kind of at a standstill in terms of how I wanted to assemble it. Given that these are 1.5 inch square pieces, wasn't really sure how I was going to make it rigid enough. I thought about using dowels, and then I spent a fair amount of time figuring out the layout for that and realized, you know what, it's a Brooder box. Nail it together, put some glue on it, and move on. So that's what I did today. I have the 2x4s that we cut in the last video are the bottom stretchers, so that gives a little bit of extra weight at the bottom, which I think will be good. And then at the top, I cut an additional, just a scrap piece of plywood. So the sides, that rectangle is glued, and then a couple of brad nails to just hold it in place. The bottom stretcher is a 2x4, and then the top stretcher, that support piece, is just a scrap of plywood. So I'm going to put those last two on this side, and then I think we'll be good to go. I am not terribly worried about it, just because after all it is a Brooder box and it's going to serve its purpose either way. My hope is that this will be strong enough to serve its purpose when I need it, but then I can leave it, hang it in the basement over the winter, and kind of let it do its thing when it's not in use. Because I only really use it for about 2 months out of the year, if that, depending upon how many we brood ourselves and how many I buy as baby chicks. So. One of the most interesting things about this build, aside from me trying to figure out how to do it, was how much rigidity these support pieces have given it. I was kind of surprised, pleasantly. All right, so that takes care of the supports. Compared to what it was like, that's going to be pretty sturdy. Again, it's a Brooder box. It doesn't need to be perfect. The only other thing I want to do, I want to add some supports on the sides, I think, just because I have them cut, and that will help the sides from racking back and forth. And then I do want to add some screws to the bottom joints, just to make sure that that is as solid as it can be. So I'm going to grab some screws and do that. Those instances where I think it's going to be really good to pilot these, because I have a feeling this is about a half an hour, so these should be more or less set, but they're not going to be entirely solid. So see if we can do this and not split any of the wood. As long as I can go and not go through the sides, that'll be fun. I think that'll be just enough. Again, all of these joints are glued. I'm not terribly worried about it, but I also don't want it to be a one-season thing. Add some more glue to that. So I think that will be about set. I'm going to try and flip this up. It's definitely solid enough for what I'm doing. Again, if this was anything else, I'd be a little bit more concerned about how it's going together, but for this, not a big concern at all. think I mentioned it in the last video, but it's kind of neat to see for projects like this when they don't have to be perfect, what you can do with basically scraps. So, and that one came apart too, so we're going to add some more. Load these up with glue. And then hopefully be good to go. Two screws on this just in case. Makes me a little bit nervous if that's still a little racking going on there. And our final corner here. Do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and pull that apart. Add some more glue, get that to soak in. Should be good to go. As long as I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and add two more on the other side as well. Make sure that this is as solid as can be. There we have it. Nothing that's going to be gracing the pages of fine woodworking ever. But hey, for a brooder, I would say that's pretty solid. That's not going to rack anyway. It's not terribly heavy. That was my other thing. I built one last year to actually go outside so that the baby chicks on a warm day could kind of be outside and forage in the grass and stuff. And it weighed like 80 pounds. It was all 2x4s and was just too much. So I think for what it's going to be fine. I need to put the hardware cloth on it, obviously, but it's mostly going to be inside in the pet carrier drip pan that I showed you in the last video. So for what we're going to use it for, I think this will be just fine. So anyway, thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you on the next one.